No, no, no. Your eyes are not playing tricks on you. Michael and Michael have not gotten this good looking. I am Ashley Nicole Moss, and I am taking over the show from my guys, but I couldn't do it solo dolo. So I brought along somebody who I know pretty well. Kristian Winfield in the building. Kristian, what's going on? Long time no see, and that's sarcasm, by the way.
Long time no see. Listen, it's summer degrees outside, Ash. I know you feeling it in Florida. I'm feeling it here in New York. I mean, what a time, right?
First of all, I live in Miami, now Florida. Let's make the separation, the two totally different places. But it is hot in the world of sports, specifically basketball. So much to talk about, from summer league to all of the drama with a team that you know very, very well, the Brooklyn Nets. So we're going to dive right into that because there's just so much to get into. First and foremost, one of the biggest stories, the Brooklyn Nets went ahead and tried to adhere to Kevin Durant's trade request, and they reached out to the Minnesota Timberwolves, allegedly, per Vincent Goodwill. And Brooklyn wanted Karl-Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, and 4 draft picks for Kevin Durant. And the Timberwolves looked at the phone and said, yeah, it's a no for me, dog. Go ahead and break this down. I mean, what's going on with this situation? It was a little bit of an asinine ask, but I mean, it is Kevin Durant, but you're not going to go ahead and give up your future for that.
Well, you have to understand from the Nets side of things, I mean, if you've got Kevin Durant, you're not about to trade him for pennies on the dollar. You know better than that. But at the same time, you know, shoot for the moon, aim for the stars, however you want to word it. The Nets were trying to get the bag, and in this instance, the bag was consistent of Karl-Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, first-round picks. Of course, the Timberwolves are going to say no to that. And this is where the Nets find themselves right now. You have a star who doesn't want to be there anymore, but you're not trying to trade him for less than what the market value is. You saw what the Jazz got for Rudy Gobert. I mean, 4 picks. You got a bunch of different role players.
Hefty.
The Nets want that times 2. But our team's going to be willing to give up those players, those assets, when if you trade those players away, that might remove you from the contention of getting to a championship. So it's tough for the Nets. It's tough for the teams that are involved. I can't wait to see how it plays out.
Absolutely. This is one of the things that, you know, was a flag for me when we were first informed that Kevin Durant wanted out of Brooklyn. I said, yeah, on paper, any team wants Kevin Durant. It's Kevin Durant. I've been, you know, an advocate. I've made no secret about the fact that I believe he is the greatest basketball player in the world right now. I stand by that statement. But he also comes with a very hefty price tag, and I don't think that the Brooklyn Nets are going to be able to strong-arm teams the way that they might have maybe a few years ago. There are a lot of teams that have gone through the rebuilding era and are in nice situations. They're contenders. They're on a trajectory to continue that, if not get better. A lot of young teams, you know, a lot of front offices have invested heavily into these young teams. You look at teams like the Suns, you look at teams like the Timberwolves, you look at teams like the Boston Celtics, who have gone through the trenches and the motions of, you know, the dark days, and now they're starting to reap the benefits of it. And yes, any team could use Kevin Durant. Let's not, you know, make a crazy statement like nobody needs him, but are you willing to pay the price tag? And I think Brooklyn is going to have a very hard time finding a team that's going to be willing to pay what it's going to take to get Kevin Durant.
You know who needs Kevin Durant more than any other team in the NBA right now? The Brooklyn Nets. I mean, we have a reason to talk about the Nets right now over the last 3 years. If Kevin Durant leaves, I mean, you're talking, number one, going from championship contention to play-in tournament contention, and number 2, you're going from dominating headlines to kind of being forgotten. Think about this. I mean, we've spoken about this so many times, Ash. The Nets actually have that depth that they've been looking for. We've spoken about them having a top-heavy roster when they had James Harden. They made that trade. You get back some pieces, and now you see the signings that they made this summer. You get T.J. Warren. You get Royce O'Neal. You're looking for other pieces to put around. You know, the Nets have a legitimately deep team, which is why I penned that piece for the New York Daily News. Anywhere the Nets trade Kevin Durant, they're going to have to give up significant compensation in the form of players and assets. If Kevin Durant decides to stay, you look at the roster around him and you're saying, hey, we're a legitimate big man away from maybe really competing for a championship. I think the best thing for everybody is to just stay in Brooklyn, but I feel like there's been so much damage done with the way the Kyrie Irving negotiations have gone, and now you got a guy in Kevin Durant who wants to leave. I don't know if him staying is even possible, but I think that's the best case scenario for both people, for both sides.
Right. And look, I don't blame Kevin Durant for wanting out of Brooklyn. This is not a player who has just kind of, half-assed his way through his time in Brooklyn, right? He's given everything that he has to give. He's come back from multiple injuries, and he has dealt with a lot off the court that a lot of other players of his caliber have not had to deal with. You look at the James Harden saga, you look at the Ben Simmons saga, you look at the Kyrie Irving saga, and he's handled it with grace, and he's handled it, being reserved and not, trying to take away from what happens on the court. But it has to be draining. It has to be frustrating. It's not what he signed up for. There were multiple missed opportunities in the playoffs. He does not have an additional championship that I'm sure he thought he would have by now when this whole team was first constructed. So I don't blame him for being unhappy and wanting to leave. He's 33 years old. Like I said, has fought back from multiple major injuries. And although it is Kevin Durant, Father Time is undefeated, and that window gets smaller and smaller every single season. If you don't make a move and you don't make one quick enough, it could be, the bad end of your career that you don't want. So I'm not upset with him for wanting to leave. And also, Brooklyn's going to have a tough task. Like I said, it's a high price tag. And then there's this unspoken rule in the NBA. When certain players want to trade, you're supposed to adhere to that. It's an unspoken rule. If a LeBron James says, I don't want to be here, you trade him. Anthony Davis at the time, when he was traded out of New Orleans, you make that happen. Kevin Durant is in that caliber. You can't hold him hostage, but like you said, Brooklyn's not going to take him for pennies on the dollar. Let me ask you this, though. There's been a lot of conversation about Kyrie Irving, who is part of this whole equation, and maybe you can feel like maybe one of the reasons why Kevin Durant is unhappy when it comes to the basketball aspect. If Kyrie Irving was to be traded before Kevin Durant, does that change KD's mindset on wanting to leave Brooklyn?
That's an interesting question. I'm not sure we get to a point where Kyrie is dealt before KD. I think that, this is going to be something that plays out in a domino order fashion. The Nets are going to move KD, and then they're going to find a way to move Kyrie. I think Kyrie ultimately works his way to the Lakers just because it doesn't appear from things that I've heard that other teams are interested in taking on, A, his contract, and B, just the drama that comes with him. I mean, say what you want about him on the floor, spectacular player. I mean, everywhere he goes, it just seems to be drama that follows him, and some of the teams just don't want it. I will say this, though. You brought up James Harden. I mean, he looks like the smartest man in the room right now. I mean, he got out of there at the trade deadline, and now he's sailing off. He's in Philadelphia. They got P.J. Tucker. They got pieces. You're looking at the Sixers, a team that might be really competing, knocking on the door of a championship. And in Brooklyn, we don't even know if they're even going to be competing for a championship. We're talking about maybe building a Nets team around Ben Simmons and pieces. Ben Simmons just came off back surgery, hasn't played in a year. But at the same time, if you're getting the same type of Ben Simmons that you remember from 2 years ago, we're talking about can defend anybody on the floor, make plays for all of his teammates, athletic, can dunk on anybody. That's one of the selling points for just run this thing back. If you're Kevin, if you're Kyrie, if you're Sean Marks, Joe Tsai, you came a half an inch of Kevin Durant's shoe from actually winning a championship 2 seasons ago. You have the core, you have the team in place. Just try to put water under the bridge. Run this thing back. You guys have a chance to do something special.
Speaking of Joe Tsai, I mean, it was public on Twitter, as likes normally are, that he and his family were liking a variety of tweets that were not speaking fondly of, his current players. And by current, I mean Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving for the most part. Does that leave a bad taste in your mouth if you're either one of those guys that, look, we didn't construct this team. We didn't, force you to do anything. You knew what it was when you signed up. You knew that we were going to cost a lot of money. You knew there were a lot of egos. You took that gamble anyway and hoped that it resulted in a parade. It didn't. Is he kind of, throwing a grenade and then walking away like he didn't have anything to do with it? And can that situation be rectified?
I think on one end there is, a legitimate case to be made that as an employer you have to have requirements of your employees. A Kyrie Irving suiting up for 103 games over the first 3 years in Brooklyn. I mean, any front office, any team owner would have gripes with that. But at the same time, as you mentioned, you knew what you were getting into when you brought Kyrie, and Kyrie is the reason you have KD. And having those two is the reason why you're knocking on the door of a championship every single year as long as they're there. You've got Nets fans now who are season ticket holders that bought tickets because they saw KD and Kyrie on the promotional material, and now you might not have either of them next season. That shows you where the fan base is right now. There's some Nets fans who still believe in Sean Marks in the front office because, as you've seen, they have had a track record of developing talent, of drafting players late that end up being good. But at the same time, you're not getting that same star power as you have with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. And we know it's a star-driven league. If you don't have the stars, good luck beating Boston. Good luck beating Milwaukee, Miami. You know, there's no way the Nets can come out of this after trading KD and Kyrie and come out a better team. And that's where fans are frustrated. The Nets have sold championship or bust, and now it looks like they're just, about to throw it all away on purpose.
Well, the Knicks ain't looking too bad right about now, huh, Kevin Durant? It looked sweet when it was sweet. Now it's not so sweet anymore. But, we'll obviously touch back on this more. We'll have Chris Herring and some other guys within the NBA on the show later on.
Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.